Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV. And a big shout out to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. We're so happy to have you here. I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is the United Kitchens. And joining me, she's always cooking up something really healthy and fun, is celebrity chef and certified nutritionist Ricki McKenna. Welcome to the show, Ricki.
Good afternoon, Dr. Jacalyn, or morning, wherever you happen to be in the world.
Yes, it's afternoon here. It's time to eat. I certainly am hungry and looking forward to what you're cooking up. So, Ricki, I'm going to spotlight you as always. And if you could share with our audience a little bit about your interest in food and how you became a celebrity chef.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Well, my interest in food started when I was a kid, actually, because I really like to eat. And through the years, I became certified 20 some odd years ago as a certified nutritionist, because I found out that food is the basis for our lives. I mean, if we don't eat, you can drink water and you can live, but if you don't eat, you really don't live. You just exist. And so food is the basis for our health. And thank you, deity, for whatever we have. And by the way, Jacalyn, I just want you to notice my earrings today. I decided I'd wear pink for Valentine's Day.
Very nice.
And, and my fancy dancy earrings.
They look great. You look really beautiful in that color as well.
Thank you. And I have to tell you that getting dressed really helps me prepare the food, very seriously, because I feel as though I'm taking care of myself. And this is the basis for my work. I like taking care of people, helping them understand how food works, what it does for their bodies, and what the difference is in eating really clean food and fresh food. I had a question the other day that tested my nutritional knowledge about what's better, fresh, frozen, or canned. And of course, fresh comes out on top every time. And frozen is number 2 because most things are frozen at the peak of their ripeness if they're frozen properly, so that you eat them well. And then canned would be my 3rd selection, except for one thing, tomatoes. And tomatoes are one of the few vegetables that are absolutely wonderful, organically grown and canned. And you can get them all year round, so they're great. They come in all different varieties of chopped, mushed, smushed, literally crushed, and whole as well, and peeled. So if you have any problems with the peels, and sometimes the tomatoes will bother people if they have a sensitivity to it or something like rheumatoid arthritis, they're called a nightshade vegetable, or a tomato is a vegetable or a fruit, depending on where you're going. I know I'm rambling, but I wanted to give you an idea of my background includes lots of nutrition and nutritional science, so that when I cook, I try to put together things that not only work together and blend well, but they absolutely have to taste great. And that's the point of talking about fresh and making things yourself in your own home. So,
Thank you, Ricki.
Doing that for a long time.
And you are the expert. And as you know, Valentine's Day is coming up, and our show is titled Elevate Your Love Life with Roasted Beet Soup. So I'm interested in how the beet soup and the love life and Valentine's Day, how they're all connected. And we're looking forward to another great show. So take it away, Ricki.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. And just to let you know, part of my mission in life is to help people understand you've got to take care of yourself. Love yourself first, and it's not a selfish love. It's a self preservation, a self-elevation, love. And I love the fact that Dr. Jacalyn says you're elevating when you learn something. So we're going to hopefully give you a little learning on soup. And one thing I want to show you, this is the completed soup. I'm going to come up close to the camera. It's hard to see it. I'll show you in a little bit. It's beautifully beet red. And if you hadn't noticed, it's blended. So at any rate, we're going to start. And I call this lover soup because it is beet red. And I started making it around Valentine's Day about 18 years ago. And people called it the lover soup. So thus we have it. And so we're going to start with a little bit of olive oil and butter in a good heavy pot. Turn it on. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of olive oil. Actually, a little bit more than that. The butter in my pot. There we go. And about an equal amount of olive oil. So I'm using about a tablespoon and a half of each. And you'll get the recipe, which actually calls for 2 of each, but I'm making a half recipe. And so I've got it on high now, and we're going to let that start to cook. In the meantime, this soup calls for a combination of beets, red beets, which I have roasted. And they were roasted this morning, and here's how they look. I've cut them up, and here's one of the things that I stress. Scrub, don't peel. When you have the beets or any other vegetable that has a skin that is edible, especially something like beets, because you'll lose a bunch of the vitamins and minerals that are in the skins, as well as the fiber, which is extremely important because most Americans in particular do not get enough fiber in their daily meals. So you're getting fiber, you're getting vitamins, you're getting minerals, and once they're roasted, which these have been with a little bit, just simply a little bit of olive oil, nothing else. They roasted at 350 for about 45 minutes. Thus, we have the roasted beet. And by the way, if you decided you just wanted to eat those, fine. They're absolutely delicious in a salad, cold, or even room temperature. And they're just great when they're warmed up. In the meantime, we're going to add leeks. We're going to add Swiss chard stems. If you've never had Swiss chard, it's a wonderful vegetable. Big leafy, wonderful green. And it is a very salty vegetable. So I'm going to ease up on putting any salt in with everything else. I've chopped up an onion roughly since we're going to blend this. And that's going in.
Ricki, I'm wondering, I have high blood pressure, but it's under control. Is it okay to cook with salt, or should a person like me not use any salt?
Well, salt is necessary in some instances to bring out the flavor, but you can use a salt substitute. And it depends on the person. It depends on your particular body and how it handles the blood pressure. So you can cook with salt, but just don't overdo it. I find that, frankly, restaurant soups overdo it. I'm just going to measure my leeks here and see what we've got. It was about a half a cup of onion. And the salt can always be added. If you're cooking for yourself, you can add it or leave it out. If you're cooking for company or a friend, whatever, they can always add salt. So cooking without the salt can work beautifully. We're going to add about, if I push it down, I've got about a cup and a half of leeks. So I've got my onions, which are already starting to brown. And I'm going to turn my heat down just a little. And we're going to have some celery. Oh, by the way, I did want to show you one other thing. But first, let's take the beet stems. This just includes taking beet stems, which I have, and I'm going to put them in with about a cup of water. And let's bring them up to simmer. And let them simmer while we put everything else together. Okay. So we've got the leeks and the onions in there that are browning. And I'm going to take my celery and chop that up just a little bit more, but roughly chop because, as I said, everything is going to get blended. So you can just, kind of oversized, bite-sized pieces. And if you have some of the celery leaves, that's okay. We're just putting in about a half a cup. Let's see where that comes from. This is a 2-cup measuring cup, by the way. So we've got about half a cup in there. So now I've got my onions, my leeks, and celery in the pot with the olive oil and butter. Oh, it smells so good. Let me show you what's going on in the pot. If I can do this without messing things up. We tried this last week and it worked.
It's working.
Okay. So you can see what we have here. The onions are starting to brown, and the leeks will start to brown shortly. And very soon we will add the beets because we're going to caramelize the beets. But I did want to show you one other thing. Let me get back to the other. This is all kinds of fun. Wait a minute. Here we go. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but when you're cutting an onion or a scallion or a shallot, the root end is what you want to cut last. So I've left a teeny bit of the root end, and I'm going to cut just another little piece to show you what I'm talking about. And then toss the root, literally. And put my onion, that will add that to the pot.
Ricki, am I correct in observing that you're wearing some fashion footwear as well when you're cooking today?
No.
It looks nice sandals. Sandals, very nice.
My comfy sandals. Now I'm going to take my beets and I'm going to put them in because I want them to caramelize. And if you're not familiar with caramelizing, since my onions have started to brown, I'm going to put the beets in there and I'm going to turn my heat back up to medium high. Caramelizing is when you cook a vegetable and it gets to the point where it's almost stuck to the pot, especially on the bottom of the pot, where it will stick, because that brings out the flavors, and it also helps bring them into the food. It's really amazing what it does, caramelizing. And I'm also going to add my Swiss chard stems to chop those up. And most people would throw these away, never throw away a vegetable. So I have my big old leaf, and you can see the stem.
So pretty.
Cut that stem out. Isn't it pretty? Looks like Christmas, actually. This is red chard, and chard comes with stems that are anywhere from white to pink to yellow. Now you can take this and make absolutely wonderful soup with that as well, but that's another time. So I'm just going to chop this up roughly and stick it in the pot with the rest of it. And just for fun, we'll measure. It's probably about half a cup. Now my stems are boiling, so I'm going to turn them down to simmer. Just a little word of caution, when you're caramelizing something, you really have to keep an eye on what's going on in the pot. In the meantime, I'm going to put my bay leaf in, and I'm going to take, I've boiled the water. I'm going to pour 2 cups, actually just 1 right now, and add my chicken base, because we add 3 cups of water. what I'm doing this is heating the water that I put into the pot that's already cooked with vegetables. We're not going to stop the cooking process. So we're going to add water that's already hot. So I actually boil the water in a kettle. And you'll hear it when it goes in. It sizzles. But I'm going to dissolve my bouillon or base in 2 cups of water and add that to the pot in a minute because I want to make sure my beets are caramelized.
We've got a comment from Karen who loves the nice sizzling sound. Karen, let me see. I'm going to try your name. Svetaka, is that right?
Yep.
Nice to have you with us.
Yes. Karen Svetaka is also a wonderful chef. And she's my go-to specialist when I'm not quite sure if someone has an allergy and we want to prevent any problems with the cooking. You can see I have my parsley here, and this is a good way to store the parsley, by the way. Wash it, put it in a glass of filtered water, and put it in your refrigerator. And you have a really pretty decoration in the refrigerator, and it's already ready for what I'm about to do. And I'm going to chop in some of the stems as well, so this all gets blended. Okay. I'm going to save that for a little bit later. And I also have some fresh thyme that has been washed. I have a little sprig of it. I think my beets are pretty well caramelized. And everything else is. Oh, yeah, it does. Smell divine. Okay, we're going to switch and go over to the other because you can see what we're doing. Okay. So I have 2 cups of chicken broth, and you'll hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to add 1 more cup of hot water. Now, if it were cold water, it would really be even worse. It would still be sizzling. But you can see that it's continued to boil. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
It hasn't stopped the cooking process. So we're just going to mix all that up, and we're getting a beautiful red color starting to come up from the beets and the red chard stems. Okay, and now we're going to add our spices. We have about 2 tablespoons of parsley. Let's see, I'll dry that guy off. 2 tablespoons of parsley, and I'm using dried parsley, just a little bit, and then I'm going to use my fresh parsley. I use 1 tablespoon, and we're going to use the fresh parsley as well.
Parsley's good for spruce up your breath, right?
Parsley's good to spruce up your breath because it goes to your stomach and it neutralizes the acids down there that are causing your breath to be not so good. And also cilantro is another wonderful herb that is excellent for helping to remove heavy metal toxins, heavy metals from your system. So we've got our parsley. And now for something that yesterday I had someone ask about putting ginger in with the beets. And she said, I don't think it would be good, but guess what? Here's the ginger. Can I show? Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops. There.
Wow.
Yep. Ginger goes in as well, but we're not using quite as much. We're going to use a teaspoon. And of course, if you are, if you really love ginger, you can add a little bit more, and it will. No, actually, I'm going to use about 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, 1/4 teaspoon each of ginger, allspice, and pepper. So here's our ginger. And actually, I'm cheating because I'm using a teaspoon, and I'm using about half. So there's ginger and allspice. And if you wanted to use fresh ginger, that would be fine. You would probably use at least a teaspoon, a full teaspoon. Okay, that allspice. And believe it or not, just this little bit of each of the spices will make a big difference in your flavors. Okay. And some fresh pepper. This may be a lover soup, but it's not a wimpy lover soup. It's got lots of goodies. And I'm going to turn it down just a little. You can see that it's boiling quite rapidly. I put my bay leaf in and my beet stems that have been simmering for a while now with the cup of water are also going in.
While you're doing that, we've got some comments from the lovely Jean Daly. I love fresh beets and I love soup. So this is a great recipe. Thank you, Ricki.
Oh, thank you, Jean.
Thank you, Jean.
Great to have you there. And Jean is also a nutritionist.
Yes, she is. Jean rocked her Talking Heads presentation this week. If you didn't get to see it, go over to usaglobaltv.com, Talking Heads. And we also have a comment from Peggy Moore. I love seeing the overhead shot of the pot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peggy. That is fun.
And to be honest, Peggy is the one who gave me the idea for doing that.
Woohoo! Go Peggy! Rocking it.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
Okay, here's our thyme. Absolutely divine herb. And I'm going to fold it because this is going to be blended. And I'm going to carefully fold it so that it fits inside my big old tea ball. Can everybody see the tea ball, the bottom of it?
Yes.
Okay, here's how you don't lose all the twigs in the soup, especially when you're blending because they won't blend well. So I'm putting them in a tea ball, but putting them in this way actually helps them spread their wonderfulness into the soup, and then you can remove them easily. And sometimes I actually put the bay leaf in here too. But we're going to put the thyme right back there in the middle of everything. There it goes. And we're going to let that simmer. And so does anybody have any questions? I'm not covering it, by the way. It simmers openly. Anybody have any questions so far?
Questions?
Or other comments? So we've got, just to review, we've got fresh organic beets that are cut roughly into bite-sized pieces, and you roast them for about 45 minutes at 350. And then you take unsalted butter and some olive oil, and you put it in a very heavy soup pot or heavy pot like that. Let it melt, and then add your leeks, your white onions, and your celery, and your Swiss chard stems. And the reason we don't add the greens is this is a red soup. And if we put the greens in, it would turn the color, change the color a little bit, which is, you can use the greens in another soup. We have one, a great recipe for that. And then I took my chicken broth and some water, some extra water and a bay leaf, ginger, allspice, pepper, and there it is. Now, once we get it done, let's see how we're going here. We will add a little dollop of yogurt or sour cream. And I have taken the soup. I'll see if I can get a really good close-up on this because it's really pretty.
I love the word dollop for some reason.
Yeah, isn't that a great word?
It is. Okay. Karen has a question, but go ahead. Yep, beautiful color.
Isn't that pretty?
Really
and
nice.
You can see that it's thick. I did have a spoon. Wait a minute. Here we go.
Wow.
Karen? Yeah, it's a thick, hearty soup. You can blend it a little bit more if you want to, but I happen to like it chunky like that. And you can eat it cold as well as hot.
Karen's question is, can you use other roasted vegetables like parsnip or turnips? And Jean Keegan Daly wants to know, how long is the prep time, Ricki?
The prep time is probably about 15 minutes with all the chopping of everything. And then the cooking time is really no more than about 15 minutes. So the whole thing can be done in about 30 to 35 minutes. And then you can serve it piping hot, or if you make it a day ahead and you're having company and you want them to have something interesting, you can also serve it cold. So it works well in the wintertime when you serve it hot because it's really thick and rich and warming and makes your tummy feel good. And you can use, as I said, sour cream or yogurt. I do have yogurt, and we'll put that on top. And you can see what I'm going to do shortly with the blending, because we'll let that simmer for a few more minutes, because we want all the flavors to blend. You're going to take just a little dollop of plain Greek yogurt and plop it in the middle. Now, it's interesting what happens when you do this when the soup is hot. I've not tried it when the soup is cold, but you can take your spoon or a fork and kind of spread the yogurt out. Now, it works better when it's hot. So that you can kind of make, have you seen soups with swirls in them if you serve it in a flatter bowl rather than in a cup? And you can make it really pretty if you're serving it. Well, this is okay. Anyway, it doesn't change the taste much, but it sure looks good.
Fabulous. Jean wants us to know that it looks beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jean. You will get the recipe. And so what I wanted to do today, while that is simmering its wonderfulness away, I thought I would do a little bit of reading and give you some top foods for energy from the nutrition field. And Jean, feel free to pipe in here if you have some additions. These are just in alphabetical order. They're not in particular order of from high protein or to low protein or for, specifically different levels of energy. But believe it or not, bananas are on the top. And energy, it gives you energy and, of course, potassium. And another source for potassium are peaches. Fresh peach halves have as much potassium as a banana. Beef liver, which gives you iron and builds red blood cells. And buy it, please, buy organic liver. Berries, of course, everybody knows that berries are antioxidants, but they're also very good for energy because they do have sugar. They're natural sugars. And the antioxidants, as a friend of mine once said, keeps you from rusting on the inside. So I recommend blueberries are on top of the list. And then you have, of course, blackberries, raspberries, loganberries, strawberries. But blueberries are really highest on the list for your antioxidants, along with something like the loganberries and acai berries. Coffee.
I love to eat blueberries frozen.
Oh, yeah. Frozen blueberries are wonderful. I actually found some that were covered in dark chocolate.
Oh, my. Decadent. That would be nice for Valentine's Day.
And then we have, of course, dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is a mood lifter because it helps your brain develop dopamine. And dopamine is what's known as a happy chemical that's in your own. It comes from your food and it's stimulated by food. Okay, so we have the coffee, the dark chocolate, eggs. Great for energy because they contain carbs, protein, and good fats. Those are the protein, of course, is the white part. And then the carbs are in part of the yolk as well as the proteins, the fats, excuse me. And those are the good fats.
Ricki, should the bananas always be organic?
That's debatable, but since it does have a peel, the peel can absorb pesticides and herbicides. So if you can afford it, and it's really better to do bananas and all your other fruit and vegetables, especially those with edible peels and skins, to buy them organic. And then carefully wash them with a good veggie wash. Back to our energy foods, green tea energy and antioxidants. Matcha green tea in particular is high in antioxidants. Oranges, and actually I took some blood oranges the other day and cooked them with some ribs. But what I did was I zested the oranges and then used the juice from the oranges. So when it was done, we had naked oranges, and of course the peel is much softer then, and you're into the pith. But the blood oranges, we scooped out the insides and even ate a little bit of the pith with the inside of the blood oranges. They're absolutely scrumptious and loaded with energy. And it's better than drinking the juice in particular because juice concentrates sugar. So you're better off when you get the pith and the fiber as well as that from the pulp of the oranges. Here's a good one that I was really surprised at how many people were in agreement with me because it's sardines. Sardines are wonderful for energy. They're high in protein and very high in omega-3s. So if you're looking to get a combination of protein, omega-3s, and energy, sardines, and you can get organic ones. I buy them in oil sometimes, and sometimes I just buy them in a tomato sauce or something like that, but I prefer to do my own sauces with them, and they're great. The canned ones are great for salads. Sweet potatoes, yahoo! Of course, especially with the skins on, you get a lot of B6, you get potassium, and magnesium, which there are two things. The magnesium and vitamin D are extremely important right now as far as prevention of viral prevention, particularly vitamin D as well as vitamin C, the whole vitamin Cs. And next on our energy food are walnuts because they have omega-3s. Macadamia nuts are higher in fats, but they're good fats. So fat will give you energy. Fat does not make you fat when you eat it from these sources. And last but not least on the list of 12 top foods is, guess what? Anybody want to guess?
Jean Keegan Daily? Do you have a guess?
What haven't I mentioned, Jean?
That's right, Jean. We'll wait.
Water.
Ah.
Without water, you won't live very long. Not only that, and it was really interesting. I've worked with a lot of seniors in the last 6 years, and I've had them say, oh, I fade in the afternoons. I have to take a nap. And when I ask how much water are you drinking, it's like a cup of coffee in the morning. No. Coffee, first of all, is a diuretic, which means it helps remove the water from your system. That's why people don't want to drink water, because they feel as though they have to go to the bathroom, and especially seniors are guilty of this. And what I find is when I've suggested to them that they drink a little bit more water, like every time they pass a water fountain or set their watch on half an hour and take a couple of sips, and I'm sure we've all heard 8 glasses of water, which are about this size. This is about a 10-inch cup. So daily. And as I said to them, it really doesn't matter how many times you have to use the toilet, but drink the water. And I had great reports from a group of women in their 70s and 80s who said, I wasn't as tired when I was drinking the water. So water is extremely important because it circulates your vitamins. It circulates everything in your system. It helps your blood work better. And if you've ever seen pictures of blood cells, red blood cells, when they're totally hydrated, they look almost like a donut, but not with the hole in the middle. They're puffy. And when they're not hydrated, they look like raisins, literally. So you want to get those raisins back up to puffy, like a donut, but not the donuts, at any rate. And so that's my group right now of foods for energies. Anybody have any comments on that?
We've got a few comments here from Jean. Let me just see. She writes, so many great foods. Oh, yes, water is so important. She also writes, oh, I love all these foods. Also, pure almond butter. I get mine from the Amish who grind them in front of me. Wow.
I love it. Yep.
Lucky Jean. And she has a question. If I want to add more liquid, what kind would be the best so flavor is not diluted? That came in earlier.
In this soup,
Yes.
you can either add chicken broth, or actually you can make it into a vegan soup by using vegetable broth, and just add another cup of the vegetable broth. Or just add, if you wanted to make it thicker, definitely, you can add another cup, or just plain water. But the flavor-wise would be either the chicken base or broth or vegetable broth. Good question. Mm-hmm. And of course, since I haven't covered it, it's reducing a little bit in the volume. And I happen to like mine thick, so I'm going to let it finish. We got another couple of minutes, and then I'm going to turn it off actually, and let it simmer down. And I've also got 6 top foods for protein on my list. So one of them is lean chicken breast. Has quite a bit, at least 7 or 8 grams of protein. Lean pork chops and tuna, preferably fresh. But if you're eating canned, check the protein on that. And also check to see in the cans of tuna whether they have soy in them. I'm not fond of soy with tuna, or with almost anything else, frankly. And so those are 2 high protein foods. And then we have beef skirt steak. Has anybody heard of skirt steak? You call it skirt steak or flank steak. It usually comes in thin strips, and it's quite well marbled, which means it has a lot of fat in it. But the whole point of these is that particular cut of meat is very high in protein. And I usually use it for fajitas, or just, I think we did one a couple of weeks ago where I sliced it. You slice it almost on the diagonal, and works great with different sauces and things. Firm organic tofu. And the only way I will use soy is usually in tofu, and because it is fermented, tofu or tempeh. And then lentils. These are just 6 suggestions for high protein foods. And lentils, of course, can be cooked in a variety of ways. I like them in what's called dal, the Indian way of cooking, where you boil them. And I usually boil mine with either chicken broth or veggie broth, and then add some yogurt and something like cumin or garam masala, some of the different more Indian spices. So let's go back and see how our soup is doing. And I'm going to take out my thyme. Woohoo, hot. I think I'll get a little. If you haven't found these little pot holders, you can have a conversation with them with your kids, because it looks like, an alligator, or hello. It's not Kerbeck, but it's close.
Hello, Ricki.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. I know we're getting silly, but sometimes you have to. Okay, I'm going to try to lift my tea ball out without burning my fingers. I have a better idea. Okay. Oops. It's slippery. All right. Nothing like doing a live show and letting everybody see how slippery something is. I give up. Okay, we're just going to take this over here. And we'll get that little devil out. Because what I want to do is actually open this and take some of the thyme out and put it into the soup. But for the meantime, we're going to put it there. And let's see. Hello, Richard. We're going to go back to our other camera. I think. No, you didn't move? Yeah. And what I'm going to do is proceed to blend it. Normally, I would let it cool down it's a better idea to let it cool down a bit before you put your blender in. I'm using an immersion blender, which is perfect for this. Or you can put it in your blender and pour in, a couple of cups at a time and blend it. We're going to make a little bit of noise, and you've already seen the finished product. Here we go. So carefully immersing this in here, I want to first, you're going to hear some noise. What I'm first going to do is try to get the vegetables all blended, or at least cut to start. And you can watch it turn that wonderful red color. What I'm attempting to do is to take the big chunky pieces so they don't go all over the place when I'm blending. Can you see the color deepening?
Yes.
There we go. Good. There's my bay leaf. And we do want that out. And you can see that it's coming together and foaming. All right. I do believe we've got it. And make sure that all the burners are off. And we'll come back over here and finish up with the thyme. Well, we might. Excuse me, we're having a little. There we go. So now I have the pot here. I'll show you how it looks. It is now liquid, obviously. And what I'm going to do, since this is just about cooled off enough, is open up my thyme. And since it's pretty stocky, I'm not going to, this gets a little bit messy, but it's really good. I'm just going to take some of the leaves off and put them in, and then we'll blend it again. Because I absolutely love the taste of the thyme, and it gives the soup an extra depth and richness. And if you like thyme, or if you like a little more ginger, now is the time to add it, and then blend it again before you serve it. So, it's alive. There we go. But you don't want to blend these little sticky things into the soup. So, and always have a paper towel handy to clean up what Simon used to call messy paws. And then I'm just going to blend it a little bit more to get the thyme blended into it. Okie dokie. And what I like to do is we'll take some and pour it into a pretty bowl, and then put our yogurt on top and show you how you can make pretty lines in it. Okay. And get my spoonful of yogurt. And then we'll take it over so you can actually see it on the other camera. Whoops. And sometimes you wear it. I'm going to put the bowl and the yogurt back here. And now if I wanted to add a little more salt to it, if anybody was concerned with the salt, now
Ricki, I hate while you're doing this beautiful presentation to let you know you're on mute.
okay, here we go. Is that better?
Yeah, you're getting a good amount of exercise there today.
I hate to tell you what I did before this. I did a rowing class.
Wow, awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, so now I've got my little dollop in the middle, but what I'm going to do is, while the soup is hot, I can pull some of it out, you know, and kind of make it a pattern. If you see what I'm attempting to do.
You're an artist.
Oh, well, we're trying. We've got kind of a leafy swirl going here. I think you can see it.
Looks pretty.
Yeah, it's really a pretty soup, and it serves beautifully. And you could also put sprinkle a little more parsley into it, more fresh parsley, and just serve it up with either as a main course or as something that you're doing as a first course. And let's see. Are we back? No, we're not. All right, let's see. I have a little, let me see what I'm doing here. Dr. Jacalyn, don't give up. I'll get it yet. There we go.
I knew you'd get it.
Okay. So we have this beautiful pot of soup, and we have this beautiful bowl of soup with the yogurt on top, or you can use sour cream. And of course, each thing, behaves a little differently, but this is really a pretty soup. And it does smell divine. Interestingly, serving it in a bowl like this is enough as far as I'm concerned. If you add a salad to it, either a warm salad, you could do a warm spinach and bacon salad, something like that to go with it, or any other greens, maybe even a cabbage and a warmed cabbage salad with some red pepper or other greens along with it. And you have a wonderful filling meal, because soup always is filling and people love soup. So especially in the winter when it's cold outside, it keeps you warm on the inside. So there we have it.
Wow, absolutely
Thank you all.
fantastic.
So we've got the cold version and the hot version.
Beautiful. Well done. It looks so pretty, and you match it as well.
Oh, thank you.
We do have a comment from Jean. Thank you. Veggie broth is my choice. Fresh, wild-caught Pacific salmon, my favorite. I love that too, Jean. Lots of protein and good omega-3 fatty acids.
Great. Yes. And it's interesting because people don't think of certain things as good protein, but they are. I mean, they'll eat eggs and protein powder, but, all the other things in there, nuts are really good in small handfuls for a little pickup during the day. And, of course, good old chocolate, dark chocolate.
Sounds like a winner to me, especially them together.
Yes, they work well together. And I found some, as I said, the chocolate covered blueberries that were very interesting. And they're nice to serve as a little bit of goodies after dinner too, or after lunch. So,
Or both. Why not?
yeah.
Fabulous, Ricki. Another fantastic meal. And for people who like to get the recipe, who want to reach out to you, we've got your banner, but I'm going to spotlight you. Who would you like to reach out to, Ricki, and what's the best way?
Well, I would like to reach out to people who are interested in having fun with food and they're not afraid to try things differently. And please contact me at rickiskitchen.net. That's RICKIS kitchen.net. That is my website, and you can reach me at the email will work there too, Ricki@rickiskitchen.net. And that would be great. If you want to text me, the number is 970-618-7607. And you'll find me on Patreon as well under Ricki McHealthy. That's patreon.com. And there is where I post a lot of the recipes and some of the tips and my schedule for the next shows that we'll be doing with the food that's going to be prepared. So again, it's 970-618-7607 and rickiskitchen.net. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricki. And we do have a final comment from Jean Daly. Can't wait for the recipe. Thank you so much, Ricki, on, the dark chocolate. Yum. I'm right with you there, Jean.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much and have a blessed weekend.
Thank you so much, and really appreciate you being here and looking beautiful as always and presenting a fabulous, nutritious meal that's also fun to make and fun to look at.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye, Ricki.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your engagement. I know Ricki really appreciates it, as do I. Our next show is coming up. It's the Listening Mentor, and I will be joined by our elevated listener, Caroline Heward. So please do stay wherever you are watching our shows. I'm encouraging everyone to watch our shows on the YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV. And while you're there, if you could just click subscribe, we would be so happy. Thank you from me and all of my team members. We really do appreciate it. It means so much to have you with us on this journey. We are bringing you relevant content and from people all across the world. I just am so thrilled that we're able to do this and that you are doing it with us. Thanks again. We'll be back momentarily. I think, yes, in less than 8 minutes. I better hurry along. All right. See you later. Bye.